And then in the Southeast Asia or Australasia, we have Mongolia, China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, Australia, where we have commercial offices, exploration offices, and mines only in Australia, coal mines. So yeah, it was really fast growth, and significant shareholder value creation, consolidated our position as the second largest mining company today. So if you see the market cap in 1997, and that was about 7.4 billion. This was when we were privatized. Okay, you see Rio Tinto with a 20-something $1 billion cap, BHP, Anglo, the three majors at that time. And it's interesting to see the graph is, the bars here are aligned, but it's 100 times bigger. So for 30 billion, we're talking about 300 billion here. BHP now merged with the Billiton, and it's still the first and very, solid company. And the Valley, by March 23 this year, market cap was $165 billion. Okay, we already reached 180 billion, but we've never been the largest company. Just before the crisis, I think it was about 180 billion. And followed by Rio Tinto, Xstrata, Anglo American, also all the very large companies. So since 2001 to now, we can have an idea about how strong was their performance. Now, in terms of revenue, from $4 billion in revenue 10 years ago to 46. It's a record in the history of the mining industry. So 2010 was an unbelievable year. Vale achieved best ever annual result, characterized by the all-time high figures for operating revenues, operating income, margin, cash generation, net earnings. And to have an idea about the breakdown to different business. So iron ore, of course, is the major, representing about 57% of our business in terms of revenue. Nickel, 8.3%. Fertilizers, now it's quite a new business for the company, and we're doing quite well and investing a lot in fertilizers. Copper is small, but that's the commodity we're really looking into. Logistics, Vale is now 3%. Vale is a major, is the largest logistic companies in Brazil, like Leo mentioned. Coal, is also part of our strategy, and others would include aluminum, manganese, steel making, and other business. Okay, so the outstanding production in 2010 that I just mentioned. Basically, we have increased the iron ore production in 30% from 2009 to 2010. Nickel, interestingly, reduced. I believe it's still let's say a reflex of the financial crisis, and the nickel price just collapsed. Stockpiles were pretty high, so I think the production was lower. But now with the nickel prices back on $27,000 per ton, and then increasing the demand increasing, I believe 2011 we're gonna have an increase on that. Copper, still a small business for the company, but has also increased. We have basically one mine in Brazil, Sossego mine, with 250 million tons at 1% plus, and as operation in Chile. And coal, also a new relatively new area for us, but we continue to expand and increase the production. So numbers are not so high, but the increase was about 27%. Here, just a photo of Carajás mine. It's not only one mine; it's about 7 pits. Now they are connected, and that's the whole operation. So this is in the Amazon in Brazil. For your idea, this is 1K. Increasing in terms of investment. Well, this histogram can show like in the last 6 years, about $80 billion invested. Now, this includes including acquisitions. So here in 2006, that's when we acquired Inco, the Canadian international nickel company. It's a Canadian company. Was a great deal. Was a perfect timing, and then Vale became the second largest mining company. But basically, then of course 2007 reduced a bit, and then we are back on 2010 with about $20 billion invested. Now this includes acquisition, projects, support to continue our operations, expansions. So for 2011, the budget approved was 24 billion in investment. So and then by category, it's about 80% on organic growth, which are projects, exploration, advanced exploration, feasibility. Also may include some small acquisitions in that part. Right. And 8% on research and development. Okay, so pardon. The projects here doesn't include exploration. The exploration is on the R&D. The explorations and technology. The projects here, 73%, is basically to expand the operations and continue. And 18% is not just to keep the operations running. If you go by area, 42% are bulk materials, so mainly iron and coal, as are the investments. Logistics, about 20% we're going to invest. We're building 12, we call China Max. It's huge vessels for 400,000 tons. And we also, being in the Philippines, we're quite far from Brazil. Sometimes I read the newspaper before the news comes through email. So there's a new port facility to be built in Malaysia. It's going to cost about $4 billion. Yeah. Base metals, include nickel and copper. So we are really hungry for that. Fertilizer is a great business. The income on the revenue is not so high, but the profit, the margin you get on fertilizer is huge. It's a much better business than copper, for instance. And fertilizers now is basically for agriculture. With a population of 6 billion people, we need to feed them. So that's a strategy of that. Power generation, mainly in Brazil, but we're going to expand that and other business. Okay, so Vale is one of the largest mining companies in the world. Okay, based on the Financial Times, the FT 500 ranking. So we've seen 2002, we were privatized, but now starting, we are still crawling in the international scenario. But 2002, we just started living in Brazil, number 446, and come 2003, 4. Going up, by 2006 when we took over Inco, we're 117 in the world, and then just kept growing, and by end of last month, we just announced that we are number 18th. Our strategy, as I mentioned, of course, was to leave Brazil, become a multinational company, but also diversify the portfolio. Now, from now on, that's the main business we have. So iron ore, the idea is to expand the operations in Brazil, implement the deposits in Africa, the operations in Africa. Logistics, still expand internally, and also building the vessels and port facilities around the world, so we can deliver the iron, and we have our own distribution centers. Nickel, we want to be the largest nickel player, so we are expanding in Canada. have a world-class deposit in Goro, New Caledonia. It's under construction. I think a few months. I believe in this year we're gonna start in production. It's about 60,000 tons per year of copper, metric tons of nickel, and about 5,000 metric tons of cobalt. Fertilizers, as I mentioned, Vale is really interested about that. Made some acquisitions last year, and we are doing a lot of exploration in expanding the plants on fertilizers. Coal is also a key business for us. So we can, for example, as you see, we were an iron ore mining company, and then you just provide iron ore for your clients. Let's say China, Japan, Korea. But why not? To make it steel, you need iron, you need manganese, you need nickel, you need coal. So why not provide everything? So it's linked to that idea. Copper, we have our our main, I would say, our main wish. We really want to get into copper. So that's why we're here in the Philippines. So we have a lot of projects in copper. There are 2 large projects in copper in Brazil under construction, but and Chile is hard to get in. Peru, so Africa the projects are doing quite well. Steel making, this is one of the wishes of the government, and also, ours, to invest more in Brazil, actually, to not only sell ore to the others, but to invest in the industry in Brazil. So there are several steel plants, JVs with Japanese companies or Korean companies, or even with Brazilian company investing in that. In energy, Vale has its own hydro plants in Brazil to provide its own power. And energy is going to be always going to be an issue, so we need to expand and make sure we have energy. So if break down the guidelines for each business. So basically, the iron ore is to maintain our leadership, in the global iron market, and create additional demand. Of course, because we have a lot of resources, we want to expand. So we need to create additional demand. Attracting steel partners to invest in Brazil is one of the strategies. And then enhance our logistics capacity. For nickel, we want to be number 1. So we need to expand the plants, implement some projects in Canada. Also, some world-class nickel laterite projects in Brazil. Copper, so developing our copper resources in Brazil. There are a few projects under two large projects under construction. But I also look in Chile, and there are some advanced projects in Africa, Zambia and Congo. And of course, continued exploration in copper-rich countries. Coal is look for various opportunities to become one of the larger players in this business. And potash, investing to become a larger producer of fertilizers, in order to benefit from rising global consumption. Energy, to optimize our matrix, and develop energy projects to support the growth of our business. So we are also looking to power plants beside our operations, in other countries. Okay, in terms of corporate social responsibility, you can see large numbers. So that's the investment in CSR, which includes, of course, social and environment. So the average 2007, 2009 is about 700 million. So for each of these 3 years, and jumped to over $1 billion 2010, and 2011. The budget approved is about $1.2 billion. Okay,